Discipline is not simply about control or restriction. It's about construction. Every disciplined act you perform is a brick in the architecture of who you are becoming. Most people think identity is something you discover, but that's a half-truth. Identity is something you build deliberately through repetition and choice. When you choose to act in alignment with order, even in small ways, getting up on time, finishing what you start, keeping your word, you reinforce the structure of your being. Each small act of discipline is a declaration. I am capable of responsibility. Over time, those declarations stop being statements and start being reality. You become what you consistently practice. It's easy to underestimate how much power small disciplines hold because they don't offer immediate rewards. You won't feel transformed after making your bed, completing a workout, or reading 10 pages of a meaningful book. But these acts are not meant to bring instant satisfaction. They're meant to lay foundations. Think of them as deposits into your identity account. Every small act compounds. When you repeat it day after day, that repetition writes the code of your character. A man who practices consistency doesn't just do consistent things. He becomes consistent. A person who embraces order doesn't just live orderly, he embodies it. Your actions, repeated enough, rewrite your sense of self. But there is a deeper truth beneath this. Discipline doesn't just build strength. It builds trust with yourself. When you tell yourself you'll do something and actually do it, your mind learns to rely on your word. This is no small thing. Most people live in quiet chaos because they can't even depend on themselves. They make promises they never keep, and every broken promise erodes self-respect. Discipline repairs that erosion. Each fulfilled commitment, no matter how small, tells your mind, I can rely on me. That reliability becomes the cornerstone of confidence. You don't need others to validate you when your own actions have proven your worth. Incremental discipline also reshapes how you face difficulty. When you've built habits of endurance through small daily challenges, you don't collapse when bigger storms arrive. You've trained your mind to tolerate discomfort, to act even when motivation dies. This internal fortitude doesn't appear overnight. It's earned through repeated effort. Discipline is the training ground for resilience. The man who can control his mornings can one day control his destiny. Because the same mental muscles that help you wake up early or focus on a task are the ones you'll need when life tests you in larger ways. Ultimately, incremental discipline is not about achieving perfection. It's about crafting direction. You may not be able to change everything in a day, but you can decide the trajectory of your becoming. Every small act of discipline is a step toward the kind of person you were meant to be. You don't stumble into greatness, you assemble it, piece by piece, through countless ordinary actions done with extraordinary commitment. When you understand that, discipline ceases to feel like a cage and starts to feel like freedom, because it's through disciplined choices that you earn the right to trust yourself, and through that trust, you build an identity strong enough to carry you toward any future you choose to create. Motivation is fleeting. It comes like a spark and vanishes just as quickly. It's intoxicating when it's there, but unreliable when life becomes heavy. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they act, but that's a trap. Motivation is emotion, driven, and emotion is unstable. Some days you wake up inspired, other days you can barely pull yourself out of bed. If your actions depend on how you feel, you'll always remain trapped in cycles of inconsistency. True progress begins when you stop relying on the energy of the moment and start building systems that operate regardless of your mood. Consistency is what separates those who dream from those who become. Consistency is quiet, unglamorous, and often unnoticed, but it's the force that moves mountains over time. When you repeat small, focused actions every single day, you create rhythm, and rhythm generates momentum. A person who commits to daily improvement doesn't need constant emotional highs to keep going. Their discipline carries them through the valleys of boredom and doubt. The difference between the ordinary and the exceptional isn't in bursts of brilliance, sits in sustained effort. The greatest musicians, athletes, thinkers, and builders didn't rely on motivation. They relied on the power of repetition. They showed up when it was inconvenient, practiced when it was dull, and refined themselves in silence while others waited to feel ready. There's a psychological truth beneath this. Consistency rewires your brain. When you repeat an action long enough, it becomes part of your identity. It stops being something you do and starts being something you are. You no longer need to negotiate with yourself every morning. Your actions become automatic, integrated into who you've become. That's the real advantage of consistency. It reduces friction between intention and behavior. Motivation tries to fight the resistance each time it appears, but consistency eliminates that resistance altogether. You don't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" You act because it's part of your nature, and that's a kind of freedom few people ever experience. But consistency is forged in the furnace of discomfort. It demands you show up when no one is watching, when results seem distant, and when self-doubt whispers, "This isn't working." The truth is, it's always working, even when it's invisible. Progress is often happening beneath the surface, accumulating silently until it bursts into visible success. The problem is that most people quit too early. They abandon the process right before it begins to pay off. Consistency is faith in motion. It's the belief that your efforts matter even when there's no evidence yet. That's not naivety, that's courage, because to act consistently without reward is to trust in something deeper than outcome, your own commitment. In the end, motivation is a gift, but consistency is a weapon. Motivation may start the journey, but only consistency completes it. Life will not always offer you the emotional fuel to keep moving, but you can build the habits that make movement inevitable. Each day you choose consistency over feeling, you strengthen the muscle of self-mastery. And one day you'll look back and realize something profound. Every step you took when you didn't feel like it mattered more than all the steps you took when you did. Because greatness is not built in moments of inspiration, it's built in moments of repetition. The greatest illusion most people live under is that the future will somehow be different without changing the way they live in the present. They imagine a better life, a stronger mind, a more disciplined self. But they expect it to appear someday, without realizing that someday is built out of today. The present moment is not separate from the future. It is the raw material from which the future is forged. Every action you take now, every thought you nurture, every habit you repeat is a seed being planted. And time inevitably will make those seeds grow. You can't escape the harvest of your daily choices. The person you will become 10 years from now is quietly being shaped by what you choose to do in the next 10 minutes. People talk about destiny as if it's something waiting for them at the end of the road. But that's a misunderstanding. Destiny is not discovered, it's constructed, and it's constructed through the discipline of the present. If you waste your days in distraction and excuse, you build a future of regret and confusion. But if you order your present with intention, you create a foundation solid enough to bear the weight of your ambitions. Every small step of progress, every disciplined action, is an investment in your future self. The future is nothing but the accumulation of disciplined presence. That means you already hold the power to shape it. It's in your habits, your choices, and your willingness to act right now. The difficulty, of course, is that the present often feels insignificant. Doing a small task, learning a new skill, writing a single page, or choosing to speak truthfully may not seem world-changing in the moment. But meaning compounds with time. One day of order becomes two. 2 weeks of focus becomes a month of progress. A year of daily action transforms your entire identity. That's how great lives are built incrementally through 1,000 ordinary days of effort. You don't leap into the future you desire. You walk into it one deliberate step at a time. And every step you take in the present moment brings you closer to that horizon, even if you cannot see it yet. The tragedy is that many people waste the present waiting for a sign, a push, or a burst of motivation to begin. But the truth is, the present doesn't need to be perfect for you to start shaping it. It just needs to be used. Life doesn't wait for your readiness. It unfolds regardless, and every day you delay is a day that could have been building something meaningful. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you absolutely control how you respond. That response determines the quality of your future. Discipline, focus, and courage are all decisions that exist only in the now. You can't act tomorrow. You can only act today, and that's why the present is sacred. It's the only place where change is possible. So if you want a better future, stop imagining it and start constructing it. Treat every day as a workshop of your destiny. Every moment of order, every small effort, every honest action becomes a brick in the cathedral of your becoming. The future isn't waiting for you, it's watching you. It's observing whether you're worthy of the life you claim to want. And when you begin to master the present, when you take responsibility for what's right in front of you, the future quietly rearranges itself in your favor. Because life rewards the person who acts, not the one who waits. The present, in its quiet simplicity, is the greatest creative force you will ever possess. Use it wisely, and you'll discover that the future doesn't arrive as fate. It arrives as the echo of every disciplined moment you live today. Ambition is a powerful force. It drives civilizations forward, inspires innovation, and pulls people out of mediocrity. But ambition without order is chaos disguised as purpose. Before you aim for greatness, you must learn to bring stability to your own life. Many people dream of building empires when they haven't yet learned to govern themselves. They set grand goals without having mastered the simple discipline of structure. And so, their ambition collapses under its own weight. You cannot build skyscrapers on shifting sand. Before you chase the extraordinary, you must learn to manage the ordinary. The dream means nothing if the foundation is unstable. Order begins with responsibility. It's not an abstract concept. It's practical, measurable, and deeply personal. It starts in your room, your routines, your commitments. The way you handle the smallest aspects of your life reflects how you'll handle the larger ones. If your personal space is chaotic, your mind will mirror that chaos. If you can't keep promises to yourself, how will you sustain promises to your vision? Bringing order to your immediate environment is a declaration that you respect your own potential. It's saying, I am worthy of structure, of clarity, of purpose. When you learn to manage the details of your life with discipline, you develop the competence and focus required to pursue something larger than yourself. Ambition without order leads to destruction because it magnifies your weaknesses instead of your strengths. When you aim high without first building stability, your flaws become louder, your fears more potent, and your failures more devastating. People think ambition reveals character. It doesn't, it tests it. If your inner world is fractured, great ambition will tear you apart. That's why order must come first. Order builds resilience. It tempers emotion with reason and aligns your actions with reality. It teaches you to respect limits before you try to transcend them. It gives you the capacity to hold responsibility without being crushed by it. You can't carry the weight of greatness if you haven't trained under the weight of discipline. There's also something moral about order. It's not just about efficiency, but about truth. When you bring order into your life, you're acknowledging reality as it is. You're choosing to confront what's broken rather than hide from it. That act of confrontation is sacred. It's how you transform weakness into strength and confusion into clarity. You stop blaming the world for your condition and start asking, what can I fix right now? That question is the beginning of power. People who chase ambition without first mastering order end up lost in illusions. They want the crown, but not the discipline that earns it. But those who start with order, who clean their room, keep their promises, balance their obligations, earn the right to expand their influence outward. So before you chase the stars, learn to light the lamp in your own home. Before you aim to change the world, bring order to your life, your habits, your thoughts. Ambition must grow out of stability, not chaos, because when your life is ordered, your ambition becomes pure. It's no longer driven by insecurity or ego, but by purpose and clarity. Order gives ambition direction. It turns restless energy into meaningful progress. And when those two forces, order and ambition, finally align, you become unstoppable. You no longer chase greatness blindly. You build it, layer by layer, from the ground up. That is how every empire, every masterpiece, every life of meaning begins. Not with ambition first, but with order. Faith in the process is one of the hardest lessons to internalize because it demands patience in a world that glorifies instant results. We live in an age of urgency where people expect transformation without endurance, results without repetition, success without the silent suffering that builds it. But life doesn't bend to impatience. Growth is not a straight line. It's a slow unfolding, often invisible to the eye, but deeply alive beneath the surface. You won't always see the evidence of your progress, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. The seed doesn't show the tree it's becoming, but that doesn't mean it isn't growing roots. Faith in the process means learning to trust the unseen, to continue walking even when the road ahead disappears into fog. The process tests you. It strips you of illusions and demands consistency when everything in you wants to give up. It's easy to have faith when progress is visible, when the results are measurable, when others can see and praise your effort. But the real test comes when nothing seems to work, when your actions feel futile, and when the world offers silence in response to your effort. That's when you learn whether your faith is real or conditional. Faith in the process is the decision to keep going when logic tells you to stop. It's a form of disciplined courage, the courage to persist through uncertainty, to believe that your work will pay off even when you can't prove it. That kind of faith isn't blind optimism, it's grounded resilience. When you trust the process, you begin to understand that outcomes are not entirely in your control, but actions are. The process belongs to you, the result does not. You cannot control how fast progress arrives, but you can control your devotion to the craft. Every day you show up, every repetition, every correction, every small adjustment is an act of alignment with growth itself. The process refines you in ways the outcome never can. The destination may reward you, but the process transforms you. It builds patience, humility, and strength qualities that no achievement alone can provide. The irony is that once you stop obsessing over the results and start focusing on the process, the results come naturally. They become the byproduct of sustained effort, not the obsession that drives it. Faith in the process also means accepting that failure is not a detour. It's part of the map. Every misstep, every disappointment, every moment of exhaustion teaches you something about yourself and your path. The process uses difficulty as its sharpest tool. It refines you by confronting you with your limits and demanding that you grow beyond them. When you learn to see struggle not as punishment but as instruction, you unlock an entirely new level of power. You begin to view setbacks as signs of movement, not signs of defeat. The process isn't trying to break you. It's trying to prepare you for the weight of success. Because without the inner structure built through perseverance, success would collapse you. Ultimately, faith in the process is faith in yourself. Your capacity to adapt, endure, and evolve. It's the understanding that transformation is not a moment, but a journey of constant recalibration. You will not always feel certain, you will not always feel strong, But if you keep taking small, deliberate steps, the process itself will carry you forward. You must learn to honor the slow work of time, to trust that what's being built within you is stronger than what's visible around you. Every moment of patience, every day of quiet labor, is shaping the person you're becoming. And when that person finally emerges, you'll realize something profound. The process was never a means to an end. It was the end. Because the real victory isn't in reaching the goal. It's in becoming the kind of person who never gave up walking toward it.